Welcome to day 5 of our 21 days to prosperity, abundance, healthier, wealthier, more beautiful, more vibrant, more activated you. Today is day 5, and today's mantra is wisdom. Now, I want to show you something that's really important about wisdom. All right, so here is one of the keys that's important about wisdom, is that it is a pathway. You cannot just, speak Chinese because you landed in China, and that's going to happen in a day. So the same thing with wisdom. Whatever it is that you're trying to learn, in the beginning, it doesn't make sense at all. So it's gobbledygook. And then as you start learning things, it becomes time-proven information. You want to make sure that it's actually something that works, right? Because there's a lot of pundits out there, and you can even find AI making mistakes. So you want to make sure that it's a time-proven system that is going to help in this trek to wisdom. Then, as you use time-proven information, you start building up a base of knowledge in your life. And knowledge over time becomes wisdom because you got to make a few mistakes in order to make sure that you stay on that road to wisdom. There are other tools as well. So, again, keep the other mantras top of mind. We started out with love, with breathing, with gratitude. Forgiveness was yesterday. And today we're leaning into wisdom. Okay, so there's a strategy that I use for wisdom as well, because we want to make sure that we're operating on a level that is contributing to that opportunities, not obstacles, right? Which we keep kind of bending a little bit on. So we're going to play the fire ritual today. So what I want you to do is to take a blank piece of paper, fold it in half. And what you're going to do is that we all do have things in our life that are happening that we don't like. We have worries, doubts, and fears. Now, a lot of us are taught to do the law of attraction, and we talked about gratitude, we talked about love, we talked about leaning into the positive. And I also said that that my dreams inspire my direction, my dreams of positivity. But my footsteps take me there. So if we have, as an example, credit card debt, we might say, okay, I'm going to focus on the positive. Well, the credit card debt is still there. That's not positive. It's 28%, APR and that you're paying, and it's compounding, and it's going to bury you alive. So the only way that we can actually have a positive attitude towards credit card debt is if we have a plan to get rid of it and to make sure that we don't accumulate it again, right? That's a better thing. And that's what I mean about incorporating wisdom into our life. We don't want to just retire and then figure out, oh my Lord, now I only have, half the amount of money and I still have the same amount of bills. So we are going to need time-proven strategies. And a lot of them are money, especially in today's world. They are money related. So, what I want you to do, again, for the fire ritual, which is going to help us to get a pathway of action to wisdom, is I want you to write down the worries, doubts, fears, true world challenges that you have right now. To be honest about it. Don't be, Pollyanna pie in the sky and ignore the fact that you're drowning in debt in some way, or your housing expenses are 50% of your income. Let's write it down and say, I don't think this is sustainable. What am I going to do? That is the first step. Identify the problem. So again, one per line. Don't write like an essay or like a poem or anything like that. I am worried about my credit card debt. It's too much and it's compounding. I spend half of my income on housing. It's too much. I'm getting ready to retire. Should I keep everything in stocks? What about all these paper losses? Go ahead and write down all of your challenges and go ahead and stop this right now. Oh, if you have time that you could do this, be sure that you do this today. Okay, now is where that law of attraction comes in. So what we want to do now, and again, you only use one half of the page so that when you open it up, you actually have a blank. And on this side, all of the problems listed line by line. So we're going to start with thinking of solutions. And the solution to our problem is the exact opposite of the problem, but it also must include an action plan that's going to get us there. So I will give you an example. I used housing costs. And I said, I'm spending 50% of my income is going for housing. So what is the solution? The solution is don't have 50% of your income going towards housing, right? But let's do the action plan to get us there. So I would write next to that problem on the solution side, I'm so glad that I am now spending 25% of my income on housing because and then you have to do an action plan. Now, what is the action plan? For me, I was actually in this situation as a young single mom. I needed for the middle school to move just a couple blocks north to a different school. And I needed to spend less because I was going into credit card debt because of the amount of housing. So, what I did, I was looking at 2 bedrooms. And when I started looking instead at 4 bedrooms, I found that I could get a lot bigger place and then team up with another single mother. And both of us were then saving a lot. Now, coabode.com has done a lot of research into this, and they say that each household could save almost $20,000 just by co-housing together. Bigger places tend to cost less per person than smaller places. So if you're living in your own little cubicle, that's going to be very expensive. If you figure out how you can share it, look, we go and stay on a royal estate for a week, and there's 9 bedrooms and 3 wings, and there's far more luxurious space for privacy, space to walk around and forest bathe than there would be if we were all in little tiny squeezy apartments. Let's use another example. I'm drowning in credit card debt. Well, okay. First of all, I do have a debt section and a Thrive budget section in the ABCs of Money. Be sure you're getting the most recent edition. So go to nataliepace.com and link to it from there so that you're getting the most recent edition. But no matter which edition, they're all going to talk about the things that you can do to stop putting things on credit cards that you can't afford to pay. If credit card is the way for you to get free miles and you pay it off in full every single month, that's a different story than the person who is spending 50% of their income on housing. And at the end of the month, they find that they have to put food on their credit card. That's different. So when that is the scenario, it's not, we hear some people saying, oh, act your wage. Basic needs are out of control in this country. It's not your fault. We have to make more informed decisions in order to escape the rut of credit card debt and making billionaires rich and spending all of our money on basic needs. The only way that we can start living the life of our dreams is if we learn how to adopt a Thrive budget. And there are ways, but it's going to require us thinking differently and acting differently. So back to that one, I'm worried about my credit card debt. I'm so glad that I have a debt reduction plan. I have adopted a Thrive budget, so I'm actually contributing to my own retirement account and investing because that's a big part of it. Assets to debt ratio is a big part of our FICO score. It helps us to pay off debt more. The debt collector's not going to take up a collection to pay off your debt or to help you in retirement or anything else that might happen. You have to do that yourself. So it might be that you're adopting that health savings account. It might be that there's lots of different ways that we can actually spend less on basic needs, live a richer life, provide better for tomorrow, and invest for even money while we sleep. We have to learn how to do that. That's part of that whole wisdom process. So I will give a quick plug here in that we do have financial freedom retreats. If you haven't learned the life math that we all should have received in high school, this is worth investing in. By the way, parents, bring a high school kid or a college student for $99. And the price of the retreat, most people earn it back in a few months in budget savings alone, but it's also far less than most of us are spending having a managed account. And again, this is a time-proven system. We're happy to send you testimonials on that. Also, you can get obviously the ABCs of Money. I'm always going to have the most recent version there. And there are other books here as well. So that's what I want you to do today is I want you to be thinking about wisdom, but again, that it has to be that pathway to wisdom. Time-proven systems, incorporating the time-proven systems to build up knowledge, using those knowledge-based systems over time becoming wisdom, and using the fire ritual to help us focus on the solutions instead of trying to pretend that the problems don't exist. Now, the final thing about the fire ritual. You have problems and you have solutions. So what I want you to do then is then to tear that piece of paper in half and go ahead and either tear it up into tiny pieces and burn it or throw it away and keep the solutions. I just fold it in four and put it in my pillow, not because I don't want to obsessively be thinking about the solutions. I want to, I think about them when I write it down, and then maybe when I'm washing my sheets, I'll look at it again. What you'll find is that it really does help you to solve the problems because you've come up with an action plan. All right, so that's a lot to do today. A little bit more than just the mantra top of mind, but this is part of incorporating the actions and the mindset because next week, that's what we're going to be doing a little bit more. We're going to be reinforcing all this mindset and also incorporating a few more actions in there. All right, so end of day 5, keep all the other 5 mantras top of mind as well, and play the fire ritual. I'll see you on day 6.